I'm here to share with you a couple of tips that I wish I knew prior to starting aerial yoga. My name is Ali. If you're new to my channel, welcome. I wanted to add a couple of anti-gravity classes to the channel to support my aerial community. Hopefully, some of these tips and suggestions will help you make a successful transition from your mat and into the air. Aerial yoga is a full body workout. It will lengthen as well as strengthen you. Increase your balance by enhancing your body awareness and proprioception. Think of this hammock as you would any other yoga prop, whether it's a block or a strap. It's here in some way, shape, or form to enhance our yoga practice and maybe help us achieve postures that we might otherwise not have been able to do. It also decompresses your spine and your joints by us using gravity and our body weight. Another thing about aerial yoga that I love is just the fact that there's this playful, jovial quality where I can do things that I might otherwise not have been able to do if it wasn't for my hammock. So those are some of the benefits on why I love it and why I do it. But I really want to talk to you about the things that I wish I knew before my first yoga class. The thing that I didn't think about when I started my aerial yoga is that it might be a little painful. 5 minutes into my first aerial class, the only thing I could think about was how to escape. There is a pinch factor that I was not thinking about, because when we see images of aerial arts, whether it's silks, hammock, pole, lyra, we see these beautiful, elegant bodies just suspended in air, and it looks graceful and peaceful and beautiful. But initially, there is a little bit of pain. I also do silks and pole, and in all my apparatuses, it took a little bit of time to condition my body. So you need to give yourself 2 to 3 weeks to adjust and just stick with it. Over time, it just feels like pressure, and you might actually come to like it. Believe it or not, one of the most helpful things you can do is just plan your wardrobe accordingly. Try not to wear loose-fitting clothing or a thin cotton pant. You want to have more of a thick, compressive style. The more compressive pant you have, the less pinch factor I tend to feel. So plan accordingly. Also, you'll most likely want to be using bare feet. Sometimes we really rely on using our feet in relation to our fabric. And extremely important for safety is no jewelry. That includes earrings, eye watches, Fitbits, rings. It is very easy for something to get stuck in your fabric and potentially cause severe injury. So removing all jewelry, and I suggest leaving it home. Now, if you're really struggling with that pinch factor, something you can try to do is place either a towel or a blanket in your hammock. This will give you a little extra cushion, and hopefully over time, you'll work up the tolerance and you won't need it for very long. But in the beginning, you could certainly try this, and I would only suggest doing this for your forward inversions, your downward facing dogs, versus your backward inversions. Not overdoing it with water or food. The same with any yoga practice, you don't want to overdo it. The last thing you want to do is have a full stomach while hanging in an inversion. Speaking of inversions, especially the backwards inversion, you may need to work up to the length of time that you're upside down. For someone like myself who has low blood pressure, I need to start with 10 or 20-second intervals and come out of the expression slowly so that I don't get dizzy. The longer you practice, you should be able to stay upside down longer, but always remember on exiting your inversion, it is slowly and mindfully. Daisy chains. This is something that you can use to adjust the level of height of your hammock without having to play with your knots. Especially if you have more than one user, maybe at a yoga studio or in your home, or you want to change the level of your height in the middle of a practice. Use a daisy chain. Choosing your hammock. This is a classic yoga silk, and it is about 9 feet wide. So I can billow this open and I can climb in there, do restorative poses, as well as a floating shavasana. And also it's nice to do some fun creative inversions. There's another style of hammock that's also quite popular that's called yoga body. Yoga body has a parachute style of fabric, and it's not as wide as this. I could sit in it, but I can't lay down in it. It also has handles. Now, if you're watching this and you have yoga body already, I have one myself and I use it frequently. Both styles will lend itself nicely to your aerial practice. I tend to gravitate a little bit more towards the silk. There's a little bit more of a circus quality where you can do some wind-ups or climb up into a sit, where I think it's a little more challenging with yoga body. Grip strength. This is something that I completely forgot was an issue until after this lockdown. Trying to get back in the swing of things, no pun intended. I didn't realize how much strength I'd lost in my grip and in my forearms. That'll take a little bit of time to build up. Also being cognizant that you might need to massage through some of the tissues in your forearms to relieve some of the tension that might be building up. I typically use a lacrosse ball for that, but there are some other things you can do. In the future, I will add something for grip strength as well as our forearms in the aerial section of my channel. If your grip strength is an ongoing issue or you just have sweaty hands, something you might want to think about is just adding a grip aid. So a grip aid will just give you a little more tack to your fabric. I don't use it so much in my hammock work, but I rely on it heavily when I'm in my silks. The one that I use is just firm grip, and I just picked this up on Amazon. I'll look for the link and put it below in the description if you needed to give that a try. I've never been as strong or flexible as I am now, and I attribute that to my aerial work. I started 4 or 5 years ago in pole, and I quickly added the aerial hammock as well as silks. I've never been more challenged, humbled, motivated, or inspired to continue my work in the air than I am now. I hope this video has piqued your interest and given you some insight on how to make a successful transition off the mat and into the air. In the weeks to come, I will certainly add a couple flow classes so that we can climb into our fabrics together. If you're new to the channel, welcome, and consider subscribing to be part of this family. And as always, Namaste.